Hey everyone, ready to dive into something kind of crazy?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're talking about the Grammy Effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that boost artists supposedly get after a Grammy nom. And get this, we're focusing specifically on Nigerian artists this year.
Ooh, interesting.
I know, right? And we've got this awesome report from Creator Economy IQ.
Okay.
It's called Nigerian Artists See 1,330% Surge Post-GRAMMY Nods.
1,330%. Wow.
Yeah, wild, right? So that's what we're going to unpack. Is this real? Is it all hype? What's the deal?
Well, it's easy to think of the Grammy Effect as this like magical thing.
Right.
But the data is actually really interesting. It doesn't always mean instant mega fame, you know?
Yeah.
Like different platforms react in different ways. And sometimes it takes a while for the effect to really show up. It's nuanced.
I love that. Nuance. Okay, so the article kicks off by reminding us about the general Grammy bump, right?
Right.
And they use examples like Beyoncé. Her album, Cowboy Carter, actually re-entered the Billboard 200 just from Grammy nominations. It had totally fallen off the charts.
Yeah.
And then bam, back on.
That's the power of a Grammy, I guess. And it's not just a recent thing either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Recording Academy itself, they say a Grammy nod can boost visibility and sales by anywhere from 4% all the way up to 400% after the ceremony.
Wow.
It's like a spotlight suddenly shining on these artists.
Yeah. Some of whom might have been relatively unknown before.
Exactly.
The report also mentions Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
She won Best Reggae Album a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And that win basically launched her career.
Wow.
U.S. record deal, everything.
Huge.
And Kendrick Lamar, his first Grammy performance, you know what it did? 350% jump in his Instagram followers.
Wow. Just from performing.
Just from performing at the Grammys.
That's wild.
I know. Okay, but here's what I'm really curious about.
What's that?
How this whole global phenomenon is playing out in the African music scene. Because the Grammys have these relatively new African-focused categories. And this year's only the second year for Best African Music Performance.
That's true.
And guess what? Nigerian artists are absolutely dominating the nominations.
No way.
Yes way. Across 3 categories. Best African Music Performance, of course. Best Global Music Album.
Okay.
And even Best R&B Song.
Wow, that's huge. It really shows how much Nigerian music is getting recognized globally.
Exactly. So let's get into the specifics. The report does a deep dive into every nominee for Best African Music Performance.
Okay.
And there are some super interesting trends. So take Asak and WizKid's MMS, for example.
Okay.
Their Spotify streams, they more than doubled on the day nominations were announced. Seriously. They went from like averaging 200,000 daily streams to over 416,000.
Huge.
But, you know, the article points out that the spike was kind of short-lived.
So it's not like they suddenly had millions more listeners forever.
Right.
Interesting.
In Burna Boy's H.E.R, it shows a pretty similar pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, streams jumped by almost 94%. Went from 150,000 to almost 300,000 daily.
So a big jump.
Huge. But again, not a permanent change.
That's really interesting.
I know. Okay, and then there's Chris Brown's Sensational.
Yeah.
Featuring DeVito and Loj.
Oh, right.
So the song itself didn't see a big streaming bump, but Loj, the featured artist, his Instagram followers went way up.
So maybe the Grammy Effect isn't just about streams then.
Right. It's about visibility, building that brand.
I see what you mean. People were curious enough to check him out after the nomination.
Exactly.
It shows how the effect can play out differently depending on who the artist is and, you know, what platform you're looking at.
So true. Okay, so we've got these immediate spikes, but maybe also some delayed effects.
Right.
What about Tems' Love Me Jeje?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Spotify streams stayed pretty much the same, but get this. 4 days after the nominations, the song saw a 300% increase on TikTok.
Oh, wow. You don't think?
It makes you wonder if certain platforms just take a little longer to catch on, you know?
That's a great point. Maybe TikTok users need some time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Yemi Alade's Tomorrow. This one had one of the most dramatic changes.
Oh, really?
Her Spotify streams went up by over 256%, hit its highest 5-day streak in 3 months, and YouTube daily views doubled.
Wow.
It wasn't just like a blip, it was sustained.
So unlike some of the other songs where the initial spike kind of faded quickly, with Yemi Alade it was more lasting.
Exactly. And the article mentions she also got a bunch more Wikipedia views and Spotify follower gains, so it seems like people were really checking out her work after the nomination.
It definitely sparks some curiosity.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to point out that a nomination isn't a guaranteed success, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The article talks about Thames' Burning, which was nominated for Best R&B Song. Didn't really see a big change in streams or anything on major platforms.
So it's not a magic bullet. There are other factors at play, like how artists and their labels actually use the nomination. And speaking of labels, the article says Sony RCA is leading with 4 nominations for Nigerian artists this year.
Oh, wow, 4. Anyone else even close?
Empire, UMG Maven, Warner, and a Fizzy Idol each have one.
Okay, so a good mix of major labels and independent artists.
I know, pretty cool, right? Shows the diversity of the scene.
It really does. But the big question is, what does all this data actually tell us about the Grammys' real impact on African artists? I mean, are they just good for a quick bump, or is there something deeper going on?
And that is exactly what we're going to explore in part 2 of this deep dive, so don't go anywhere.
It's funny, right, how we always focus on those initial spikes, like who got the most streams the day after the nominations.
Yeah, totally.
But the Grammy effect, it's so much more than just that.
It's like not just a temporary thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It can actually change someone's whole career.
Precisely.
Right.
Think about it, a Grammy nomination, it can open doors to so many opportunities.
Yeah.
Collaborations with other artists, tours, even like brand partnerships.
Oh, totally.
More media coverage too, probably exposing them to way more people.
It's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
It goes way beyond just like how many times their song was played.
It's about building momentum.
Yeah.
Getting recognized on a whole new level.
So then how do we even like measure it?
Right.
What does all this data tell us about the Grammys?
Yeah.
Especially for like up and coming African artists.
I think it's safe to say that the Grammys, especially now that they have these categories specifically for African music, they're definitely helping African music reach a global audience.
It's like a stamp of approval, right?
Totally.
From the whole international music community, like validation on a huge stage.
And that kind of recognition is like invaluable for artists who are trying to break into new markets.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially these days.
Yeah.
It's so competitive.
Totally. So you're saying the Grammys are a big deal.
Oh, definitely.
But you also said earlier that they're just one piece of the puzzle. So what else goes into an artist's success?
Well, marketing and promotion are huge.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's all about how well the artist and their team, use the Grammy nomination.
Yeah.
To build that momentum and connect with their fans.
Right.
Are they using social media strategically?
Oh yeah.
Are they getting their music on popular playlists?
So it's not enough to just get nominated.
No.
You gotta like actually take advantage of that attention.
Right, exactly.
Turn it into something that lasts.
And then there's traditional media coverage.
Right, like newspapers and stuff.
Yeah, newspapers, magazines, radio stations, all that.
Okay.
Are these artists being interviewed?
Yeah.
Getting airplay? All of that matters.
Makes sense.
It helps them reach more people, build a bigger fan base.
And what about social media? We talked about Lil J's Instagram,
Oh, absolutely.
getting bigger.
Social media is crucial.
Yeah.
Artists who are really engaging with their fans online, creating cool content.
Yeah.
Especially on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. They're going to see a much bigger impact from a Grammy nomination.
So it sounds like you need like a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
You need the Grammys, but then you also need...
Got to have the marketing, the media, a strong social media presence.
It all works together.
It does. It does.
Okay, but I think it's important to like remember that the Grammy effect, it's not a guarantee.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's real, it's powerful, but it's not magic.
Right, it's more like a catalyst.
Yeah.
Something that you have to use the right way.
Precisely.
Okay, so the Grammys can be a game changer, but it's not a solo act.
No.
No, it's like an orchestra. Everybody has to play their part.
Exactly. That's where the artist, their team, the whole industry, everybody comes in.
Yeah.
It's about working together to create a system where African music can really thrive.
That's a great point. It's like a rising tide lifts all boats. But it makes me think, beyond the hype and excitement,
Yeah.
what does this all mean in the long run?
Right.
What's the lasting impact?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
One that we need to dig into.
Okay.
And we'll explore it in the final part of our conversation.
Okay, so we've talked about like the initial impact, the Grammy bump and all that.
Yeah.
But what I really want to know is what does this mean for African music in the long run?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Is this just a trend or are we seeing something like really significant happening?
I think we might actually be seeing a real shift in the global music scene.
Oh, wow.
African music has been gaining traction for years,
Yeah.
But these Grammy nominations, especially with the Best African Music Performance category sticking around.
Only the second year, right?
Exactly. It's bringing African music to the forefront in a whole new way.
It feels like it's finally getting the recognition it deserves.
I think so too.
It's so diverse, so vibrant,
Absolutely.
and this increased visibility. I mean, it could open so many doors for these artists.
Think about it. More investment in the industry, more collaborations, wider reach on streaming platforms, radio.
It's like we're entering a new era for African music.
I agree.
And these Grammy nominations are like pushing it forward.
Totally. But we have to think about sustainability too.
Yeah, right. It can't just be like a one-time thing.
Exactly. We want lasting growth and recognition, not just a flash in the pan.
Okay, so what needs to happen to make sure this momentum continues?
Well, I think it starts with collaboration within the African music industry itself.
Okay,
Artists, labels, producers, promoters, everyone working together.
like a team.
Exactly. To build a strong foundation,
Okay, and then?
we need continued investment in the industry.
Like what kind of investment?
Infrastructure, marketing, distribution, all that.
Right, the whole package.
And let's not forget the role of streaming platforms and media outlets.
Oh, for sure.
They have to keep showcasing African music to a wider audience.
So it's like a system, right? Where African music isn't just a trend, but like a permanent part of the global music scene.
Precisely. And this goes beyond the industry itself, actually.
Oh, what do you mean?
We, as listeners, we have a role to play too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
We need to actively seek out new artists, explore different genres, share what we find with others.
Be more open-minded.
Exactly. Be curious. Embrace the diversity that African music offers.
I love that.
And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning.
Right?
There's so much more to explore, so many talented artists out there.
That's so true.
Keep digging, keep listening, and keep sharing your love for African music.
That is an amazing note to end on.
I think so too.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening, and honestly, I'm so excited for what the future holds for African music.
Me too, me too.
What about you? What surprised you the most in our exploration of the Grammy effect? What other things do you think help artists become successful? Share your thoughts, keep the conversation going, and let's all celebrate the power of music to connect us no matter where we're from.